FM News Talk 97.1.
On demand audio.
DanaRadio.com, 971talk.com/Dana. Make sure you check out the website. You can follow me on Twitter at DLash. And, of course, we've been discussing, oh, my gosh, it's just, I can't believe how this story was on the Today Show. It was on the Today Show. It made Drudge last night. This story about the Missouri State Fair. This is, there was, in case you're somehow, missed it, which I don't think anybody did, in Missouri, the fair's still ongoing, right? It's in Sedalia. There was a cowboy rodeo clown. They had the Missouri State Fair rodeo, and there was a clown who dressed up in an Obama mask, and they invited the bull to charge it. And it seems kind of like it's par for the course because they've done this with Clinton, they've done this with Bush, and they've done it with Barack Obama, too. It's like it seems like it's one of the things that comes with the office of the presidency almost. But there were a lot of people who were upset about it. And one of those was Missouri Democrat State Rep Jeremy LaFaver, who is joining us very short notice, which I appreciate, on the show this afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How are you, Dana?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for joining me on short notice because I know it was only like a few hours ago that Kevin reached out. So you were one
thanks
of...
for having me on, and I certainly appreciate the amount of time that you spent talking about it.
Yeah, well, it becomes a national story, and when it's all anybody ever wants to talk about, you kind of have to be listener-led. But yeah, this story, you were one of the individuals who was pretty upset about it, and you tweeted about it quite a bit, and you were retweeting comments about it. Did you tell us a little bit? You think that this was basically like an act of racism?
Initially when I read the articles and I hadn't seen it, it looked to me like it was simply stupid and not particularly racist. And then the more and more I watched the video, and the more the more accounts that I read about it and talked to folks, I think particularly the act when the other guy in the ring went up and fiddled with the masked lips like they used to do in vaudeville blackface shows. And then it was reported that the announcer or whoever over the loudspeaker said, we're going to see if we can't get a bull to kick you in the face and make those lips even bigger. To me, that seemed a little racist, yes.
Well, when the accounts that I've heard, because I've heard so many varying accounts from what happened at this, and I know that there were people saying, well, this was a direct call for violence. And I had written earlier, I'm like, look, if people can prove that, there was, legitimate racism which took place or someone was threatening the president, I mean, obviously, yeah, you condemn that because I don't think anybody in their right mind would appreciate something like that. But political ridicule, it seems par for the course. Especially if you're in elected office. It's been done with Clinton. It's been done with George Bush. It's been done with Barack Obama. There was a rally where they gored a Bush dummy. There was another rally where they gored a Clinton dummy. I mean, there's all of these stories about it. And it's odd to me because it was never, ever pointed out, and there was never really any outrage until just this weekend. And someone was saying that at a previous Missouri State Fair, that they had kind of the same thing with the Obama mask. And one of the fairgoers who was there this year, too, and was there and saw it, said she didn't understand. She was saying on Twitter, I don't understand why no one said anything last year when it was done. So I'm unsure about that. But I don't know. It seemed to be, when I read the reporting, it seemed to be a little bit one-sided. And I've never seen, I don't watch vaudeville blackface, so I never really, I couldn't tell you if it was like that or not. But a lot of people were saying it was like a Klan rally. Do you think it was like a Klan rally? You retweeted somebody who said that.
I've never been to a Klan rally.
Okay. Well, it was one reporter had said, quote, I felt like I was at a Klan rally. Missouri State Fair goer Perry Beam told Raw Story. And that was one of the ones that you had retweeted. I mean, I'm just trying to figure, I don't go to Klan rallies either. And I'm just trying to figure out who goes to Klan rallies that they would say it's like a Klan rally.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's the question I have for you. Do you think, because I believe in criticizing everybody, I didn't say anything when there were rodeos with George Bush because even if it's speech with which I don't agree with, free speech doesn't require taste. Thus, it's still, it's free speech. Taste isn't a requirement for speech to be free. But do you think that the president or whoever's president can't be mocked because of skin color or maybe in the future because of sex?
I don't think anybody should be mocked because of their skin color or their sex.
I mean, do you think they should
targeting somebody because they're black or targeting somebody because they're a woman, to me, seems out of line. Granted, it's free speech, and in our country, you have a right to be a jerk.
Right. But what I'm asking is, do you think they should be exempt from any criticism or any political ridicule because of sex or skin color? Do you think that everyone should be able to be ridiculed across the board as it used to be, or do you think that people should be exempt from it because of identity politics?
No, you shouldn't be exempt from it just because you're African American or because you're female. But when I looked at that video, I didn't see a lot of people. I didn't hear the announcer saying, we should take out Barack Obama because he backs cap and trade or because of Obamacare. What I saw was somebody fiddling with his lips that looked, and I thought, that seems a little over the line to me. And so I did a little research about what blackface means, because somebody sent me a message and said that's what it is. So I did some research, and as I saw the old posters and things like that, I thought, it's over the line. Now, let me say this, Dana.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the rodeo clown decided that morning, I'm going to wake up this morning and I'm going to put on an Obama mask and do a racist show. I don't think he did that. I think it was an incredible lapse in judgment on his behalf, on the behalf of the other person who was in the ring, and on behalf of the announcer. Whatever his intent was, what it came off as was a little bit racist. And the more I look at it, it seems even more racist. Now, I don't know if that was their intent or if that's just the perception, but that's how it's looking to me. And if so, I've made mistakes in my life before. When you make a mistake, you say, wow, that was a really bad decision. We shouldn't have done that. We're never going to do it again. This is what we're doing to hold folks accountable. And so I had waited until I got a little bit, a statement from the fair. I had talked to the legislative guy from AG and all of that to see what their response was going to be. When their response was weak to what I deemed as a fairly offensive show, that's when I was like, wait a minute, folks.
Would you have said, because there have been Occupy protests where they've done similar things, and I've linked to photos and videos in pieces that I've written about this topic where they've worn Obama masks and they've said some things and have done some things that I think would probably, if people are looking through the prism of race, would be very critical of. Have you, or do you know anyone in the Missouri Democrat Party that's been outraged over that? I guess basically what I'm looking for is consistency.
I haven't seen any other video of anybody putting on an Obama mask, no.
So, do you think that the fair should be shut down? Because if there's one thing I think we would probably agree on is the taxpayer funding that goes to the Missouri State Fair, which I think it should. I just don't know why we would spend money on that separate from what's happening here. Is that something that you think Democrats are going to push, at least legislatively?
To shut down the fair? Absolutely not.
Or to remove taxpayer funding from the fair.
I think just like we saw every legislative cycle when somebody offends somebody or they wonder if taxpayer dollars should be used to fund X, Y, or Z, there's always a conversation about, is that the best use of taxpayer dollars? And whether that's for the state fair or whether that's for an airplane or whatever it is, that's the only constitutionally required duty of the legislative branch of government in Missouri. The only constitutionally required duty is to pass a budget and to spend money.
Right.
And so I think it's within it. I think it's our responsibility to have a conversation about, is this the best use of taxpayer dollars?
Right.
I think that it to a large extent, the state fair does a lot of really incredible things for youth and folks throughout the state. I think it brings in tourism dollars. I think it's an economic development thing. Shutting down the state fair would, in my view, certainly be an overreaction to this. But I think that we should have a conversation about, is this the best use of our taxpayer dollars?
One of your colleagues in Jeff City, Rory Ellinger, had said that Speaker Tim Jones should ask the Government Oversight Committee for a full investigation into the Missouri State Fair. And I'm wondering, A, if you agree with him, and B, will there be any investigation into Governor Jay Nixon's participation, because he solely has the decision to appoint members to the Missouri State Fair Commission, which oversee the Missouri State Fair.
Yeah, I think it's within the legislative purview to take a look at what the government does and what the government funds. And if the speaker, that's certainly he's got the ability to appoint committees if he feels, and I certainly think it warrants a review or an investigation, whatever we want to call it, a review to see how are decisions made, and to make sure that bad decisions and gross lapses in judgment don't occur at events like this in the future.
Right.
I think that makes sense to me.
So, what will the standard be on like any sort of political satire or criticism of political offices in the future? I mean, is that something that should not be allowed? Is the Missouri State Fair going to take a really hard line against that now? Because it seems, like I said in the past, it's something that was sort of par for the course. I've been to a number of fairs where something, almost every time, there's some sort of like political jab. Is that going to be prohibited?
To me, I didn't see them criticizing the office of the president or his policies. To me, it seemed like they were criticizing the color of the skin and the size of his lips.
Okay. Yeah,
I think that should be off limits, yes.
Okay. I think perhaps we saw different stuff because I didn't see that when I looked in the video at all. But, I appreciate you coming on with me, Representative Jeremy LaFaver, Democrat Party with the state of Missouri, and very short notice. So thanks so much for your time this afternoon.
Yeah, it's good to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
Take care.